Do all of that in your streaming software and make sure that's ready to go. So once you've set up your encoding software, you then want to move on to adding the information.
Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to record and stream games inside of OBS for 2017, basically from start to finish. So over here on the right you'll see that I have The Witcher 2 opened. That's the game we're just going to be using as a test demo here. In the bottom left hand of OBS, when you open it up, you're going to see something called scenes. That's basically each individual recording setup. So inside of a scene, you can have multiple sources, which could include basically a window that's going to have game footage. It could include images that you might be using as an overlay. It could include video capture devices, which would be like a webcam, something that a lot of YouTubers use these days. So yeah, what we're going to need to do is actually set up a scene for starters. So I'm going to create a new scene and call it Witcher 2, because we're recording The Witcher 2, obviously. So once you've created a scene, you need to add sources to it. You might only have one source, which might just be the window, and you might have multiple, obviously, if you want to record webcams or stuff like that. But the main ones we're going to be focusing on right here today are game capture and window capture. So some games actually play a little bit differently with OBS. Not every game is actually going to be able to be captured with game capture, which is strange. But usually if game capture doesn't work, window capture will work, and sometimes when window capture doesn't work, game capture will work. So basically just play around, see which one actually manages to grab the game. And what I like to go for here is capture specific window rather than capture any full screen application, simply because, well, I want it to be very specific. I don't want to accidentally capture the wrong game. So in window, as an option here, if you go with capture specific window, you can choose Witcher 2 or whatever game you're trying to run. Hit OK. Kind of can discount the other settings for the most part. And that's going to add basically the footage of that game streaming right into the preview window and when you're recording into your video file. Now the process for adding a window capture is pretty much the same, and for this game both play equally nicely with OBS. So adding a window capture, you select the window you want, Witcher 2, hit OK, and it's in our preview. Now, one of the things that we're having an issue with right here is that the resolution on our Witcher 2 game is less than the resolution of our overall preview window of our overall canvas. And that's an issue because are you really going to want all this black space in your final video? No, of course not. So how we're going to get around that is creating a new profile that has basically specific settings that are going to be specific to this game and our specific setup. The difference between a scene is that a scene contains sources, so it's what sources you're adding to the video, but a profile is all of the settings. So we're going to create another one here, and yeah, I'm aware that I already have a profile with the same name. We'll just call it 1280 by 720 Witcher 2 new. So this is going to be a completely blank profile, and we're going to need to go into the file menu and then settings to get everything right. So first things first, in order to get rid of all that black space, because we're recording a window that's only 1280 by 720, we also want the canvas to be that size. So in the video tab here, we have base canvas resolution. That's what we need to change, and we're going to change it to this resolution right here. So the easiest thing to do would be to copy and paste that. But to note the difference between base resolution and output resolution, if your base resolution is higher than your output resolution, it's actually going to scale down the final video before it goes out to a stream or a recorded file on your computer. So you might have your computer running at 1920 by 1080, but then you scale it down to a 720p resolution, I guess, so it's less processor intensive and it's more bitrate friendly. So we'll hit apply here, and that's going to fix our resolution issue because now the canvas is 720p and the game is 720p, so it matches up perfectly. But we're going to need to go to the output tab and talk a little bit about bitrate. So the higher your video resolution is, the higher your bitrate should be because you have more pixels to take care of. So generally speaking, you're going to need to put more data into your video file for it to look as good at a higher resolution. So video bitrate is often going to be limited by your streaming bandwidth. So if you want to stream online, you need a good internet connection, pretty much period. So I can hit apply here. I won't change anything we see here, but it will affect the video quality when we record to a file or when we stream online. Alternatively, you can just come down here for recording quality and have a specific setting for recording to a file and then a different setting for the streaming bitrate. For instance, if you want to have high quality footage saved on your computer, but you don't have a good enough internet to stream at that same high quality level online to a service like Twitch or YouTube.